Hey, this is Jassel from Geek Public Radio bringing you your criminal fix. Tonight we are going to talk about the pizza bomber. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe to get all of our content.
Robbery has turned into a potentially explosive situation.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. This is Jassel with Geek Public Radio bringing you your criminal fix. Thank you for joining our new show. Really excited to bring this new content to you guys. Going to be talking about all kinds of crimes, serial killers, bombers, robberies, all kinds of stuff. So if you have any suggestions for something that you'd like to see us talk about, make sure you put it in the comments. But tonight we are going to be talking about the pizza bomber. Also, well, he's also called the collar bomber, but really collar bomber just kind of sounds silly to me. And this happened in my hometown of Erie, Pennsylvania, and we all call him the pizza bomber. So 2003, and we're going to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline of what happened before we delve into a lot of the good details, because there is a lot of details when it comes to this case. So around 1:30 p.m., a call came in for two small sausage and pepperoni pizzas at a local mom and pop pizzeria place to be delivered on the kind of the outskirts of the city. Brian Wells was the delivery guy, and it was the end of his shift, but he went ahead and did this delivery anyway. And he went ahead and did the delivery anyway as his last delivery for the day. Around 2:28 p.m., he shows up in PNC Bank on Upper Peach Street with a note. The note stating, "Gather employees with access codes to vault and work fast to fill the bag with $250,000. You have only 15 minutes. Kind of a detailed note for a bank robbery. Usually they're just like, put money in the bag, right?
So how long ago was this?
This was August 28th, 2003.
2003.
So,
2003, it's almost, so 7 years, yeah.
About 15 minutes later, Wells was stopped by the police. They saw him outside of his vehicle, then they caught him in the vehicle, and they had him sitting outside of the vehicle. They took him down, and they noticed that, he had this mass on his chest and with a Guess t-shirt over top of it. And he tried to tell him, I have a bomb strapped to me. I have to follow these directions to get it off. And guess what I have under here. Guess what's going to happen. Yeah. Guess what I'm going to do.
Okay.
But yeah, he just strolled with the Guess shirt on into PNC Bank. He was carrying, actually at the time, a cane that was makeshift to a homemade gun.
It was a homemade cane gun?
It was a cane gun. He would have been able to lift it up and just shoot somebody as just like a regular cane. Only it shoots.
All right. Color me intrigued.
But anyway, about 15 minutes after he left the bank was when the police caught up with him, because obviously this hit
it's a bank robbery.
Yeah, it obviously everybody knows about it. But he only left with $8,702. That's it. He was nowhere near that $250,000 mark. But he was cuffed. He was put on the ground. He's sitting on his feet, and he told me, the bomb's real. It's going to go off. I need to be able to get this off of me. He claimed that he was accosted on this delivery, on this pizza delivery. The pizza delivery ended up coming out to a tower, like the tower buildings for like TV stations and radio stations and stuff like that. That's where it was getting delivered to. And he was accosted by what he said was a group of black men chaining the bomb to him at gunpoint. Now, none of that was true. He was told to say that in the event that he was caught and had to answer questions. They're like, oh, well, it was this group of people that is nothing like what actually happened, to throw them off of any kind of trail. So he kept insisting the bomb was real, and police had to, of course, stay back and just kind of keep an eye on him and wait for the bomb squad. So while they're waiting for the bomb squad, the bomb went ahead and went off, obviously, because he didn't get to the keys. He started hearing the ticking. They started hearing the ticking. And the bomb was just strapped to his chest, left a 5-inch hole, just actually trying to back up, almost like he was trying to escape the bomb that was strapped to him, like locked onto him.
Right.
But of course, your instincts of survival are going to kick in, and you're going to be like, get me away from this thing that's a clear danger. Well, the bomb went off, and the bomb squad showed up 3 minutes later.
Okay, so he has this device strapped to his chest. Police discover this man. He tells them he has this device strapped to his chest and that it's a bomb. It's going to go off, at XYZ. If XYZ parameters are not met, this bomb will detonate. He gives them false information as to who perpetrated the crime.
Yes.
And during the wait for the bomb squad, the device goes off and leaves a 5-inch hole?
5-inch hole in his chest.
Good God.
And then, of course, blew him back. They ended up, in order to get the bomb off him, which the family is very upset about, in order to get the bomb off of him, they actually had to decapitate him. They were more concerned about preserving the bomb than actually paying respect to the body.
Well, see, now, this is tough for me because I try to be a practical person.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I hear that, I understand it. Like if it was my family, and it's not my family, so I guess I get the luxury of being a little bit more separate from the incident.
And mind you, at this time, everybody is under the impression that Brian Wells is nothing but a victim. And this is how they treated a victim.
Correct. That's foreshadowing for those out there. And
there is so much involved with this case. There's so many articles and stuff written on it, and there's actually a really cool documentary on Netflix about it called The Evil Genius. And we're going to get into a lot of who all is involved, because the people that were involved you wouldn't think that they are as smart as they are, but they're absolutely, clearly very smart.
I mean, if we were just to stop the story right there, it's a terrible tragedy.
Yes.
It's horrible. I can't believe that happened. But as you suggest, there is far more to this story.
Yes. There's
okay. Well, let's get into it, because now I want to know.
Of course, you can see.
No, I have not heard. I intentionally have not watched anything about this. I've not read anything about this. So I get to hear this story like everybody else does. So I'm going to respond accordingly. So I apologize in advance.
Well, so he was in the bank, right? And he had that cane, the cane gun. And when he left, he grabbed a Dum Dum lollipop and started sucking on this Dum Dum lollipop as he twirled the cane, leaving the bank. So there's obviously, after all of this happens and you're seeing the footage and you're getting the witnesses and all of that saw how his demeanor was. And then they're all kind of like, okay, wait a minute. This doesn't sound right, but why would a guy chain a bomb to himself and then actually have it, go off?
I'm getting this evil, like this super villain vibe, like twirling the cane. Our station manager has pulled up a picture of Penguin. That's perfect. Okay.
So the handmade
with respect to the dead, that's just
right. That handmade cane gun was found in his car, along with all kinds of notes and directions, the very detailed directions of this scavenger hunt that he was supposed to go on in order to find 3 keys and a combination. So it was 4 keys. Excuse me. It was 4 keys and a 3-digit combination that he needed to acquire in order to get this device off of his neck. And he had to do it within 55 minutes or else the device was going to go off. So, actually 55 minutes seems about right now that I think about the timing of everything. It probably went off in about 55 minutes. So the 55-minute threat was probably correct. But this collar was obviously homemade. It was a triple banded metal collar, like I said, with 4 keyholes, and then a 3-digit combination lock that he needed all 5 of those things in order to get this collar off. So it was pretty much a giant handcuff for your neck.
Right.
There were 2 6-inch pipe bombs in the bomb. And it was like inside of a metal box, and they tried to confuse whoever might try and disarm the bomb with weird warning labels and weird instructions and cables that went nowhere, that meant nothing. And obviously, I mean, it was too late, but had the bomb squad gotten there, I don't know, I think they're professionals, and I feel like they probably would have caught on to what was really happening in there and what wasn't. But yeah, it was pretty much a giant handcuff. It used 2 kitchen timers and then 1 digital countdown timer. So I'm not sure why they had 3 timers. No one really knows, because of course everyone's professing innocence.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but I would assume, my general assumption, and I'm not a criminal mastermind, I don't know, but I would figure they were fail-safes. That each one was probably wired to the detonator. So if one failed, or they managed to disarm one of the timers, the bomb would still trigger based on the other fail-safes. That's just my estimation, but I don't know.
I feel like a remote one would have been better, because it was found that they were actually watching, and they told him that. They told him they were going to be watching to make sure that he did everything that he was supposed to do, and they were. They were watching. So they could have easily done a remote detonator and just detonated it themselves once they realized that, okay, this isn't going to go the way we wanted. Not only did he not get enough money, but I mean, really, is jail really worth $8,700?
Well, I mean, no.
I mean, I don't think so.
It sounds like the device itself was worth more than $8,700. That's pretty ornate.
Well, yeah, it took, some engineering. It took some really clever building and very unique tools and custom made things in order to get this to be exactly what they were looking for. Now, he was given these really complex set of instructions to get the keys and the combination, and they were hidden all throughout Erie. Now, they followed the police afterwards.
Followed the instructions.
Followed the instructions, and they got to, I think, like the 4th step, and nothing was there. So they're pretty sure that the people that did this went ahead and got the rest of the stuff to try and, just in case they find it, maybe they'll fit fingerprints, or maybe they'll whatever. Right. So yeah, it was trying to help save themselves. But for the next 7 years, the FBI, the local police, which they had a big war on who got to do what, of course, followed the scavenger hunt and so many other things to try and piece this together. And like I said, everybody's still professing innocence. And at this point, I believe one person is still alive, and they weren't even somebody that had all the details. So what we know now is probably all we will ever know.
So just to get this straight, the FBI spent 7 years on this scavenger hunt of sorts to try to determine who was responsible for this crime. But they can tell me the flavor of the fart that somebody let loose on January 6th. Okay. All right. No, that makes sense.
Different departments, I guess. Maybe some are better than others.
I guess.
But there was, the jurisdiction, the whole jurisdiction of, well, it's a bank robbery, so it's federal. Well, but it was a bomb and somebody got killed and it was local. So it was the grasp between, is this going to be FBI or is this going to be the local police that handle this? And it ended up being a combination
of
the two. Yeah, turf war. Thank you. And ended up being a combination of the two. And news media helped uncover a lot of stuff as well. And then, of course, you had random people that came forward and shared some information. But Wells never got to the 3rd location. He got to the 1st location, and he was stopped right after he got to the 2nd location. And he never got to the third location. And he never actually acquired, from what they could tell, he never acquired any keys and no combination. He just was still following this intricate scavenger hunt that they sent him along, which kind of was like this kind of circle around part of Erie, in order to get everything that he needed in order to get that collar bomb off. So
did they ever determine whether the circuit could have been completed in the 55 minutes he was allotted?
They went in on a same day, or similar day, not same day, similar day, same weather, same time of day, same day of the week. And they followed all of the instructions, and they found that there was no way he was going to be able to complete it within 55 minutes.
So it's also just entirely possible that by the time they got to the fourth, that there were never any keys at all, and there was never a combination.
There very well could have never been anything, yeah.
Okay.
And no matter what they
no matter what
planned
he
on
was
him,
gonna, yeah.
no matter what they apparently planned on him being gone.
But he would have been. So that kind of just dives in the psychology of it a little bit. Whoever was behind this determines, your victim is going to be a lot more cooperative if there's the hope of survival. And
Yes.
if they can follow your instructions quickly and precisely, then they'll be able to save themselves. Self-preservation is a powerful motivator.
It is. And I'm sure the police that were trying to follow that scavenger hunt probably weren't under the threat of their life. So
Right. And then
I'm sure
that's
there'd be some factors, but they did everything that they could to do it as quickly as they could, and they still couldn't complete it within 55 minutes. So no matter what, apparently Brian Wells was not going to be coming out of this, kicking. So the first person that they got anything from was actually a guy named Bill Rothstein. Bill Rothstein actually lived right by where the tower was that the pizza got delivered to. They did find that they found Brian Wells's tire tracks, and they found what they believed were his footprints, and they found what looked like could have been a struggle. So all signs still point to Wells is an innocent victim.
Okay.
But he lived pretty much right next to there, right? And the media actually, because everything was, sorry, my headphones keep moving. Everything was, of course, blocked off because it's a crime scene. And so, of course, the media couldn't get very close, and they wanted to be able to see more of what was happening. And they found that if they went kind of back into someone's property, and which Bill Rothstein happily guided them back there, and was just like, yeah, it's right there, and you can see everything, so that they could get some footage and they could have their story and whatnot. And but yeah, he lived right there, and then come to find out that, of course, he was involved.
And not only that, but by allowing all those people back here, he could claim innocence from those footprints and say that this was somebody else and that he wasn't.
Oh, I live here. I walk over there all the time.
Yeah, I walk over there all the time.
But-
those footprints could belong to anybody.
But there were 3 other people with him. So, I mean, I'm not sure how because no one ever mentions anywhere that there were other footprints, that there were 3 other people there, and 4 people total, taking him hostage. And
so Rothstein lets these people onto his property. They go through.
It's a couple of reporters, yeah.
A couple of reporters, and he just shows them, oh, yeah, this is what the police found on my property. This is what was
they
up."
didn't find anything on his property yet. We were
Okay.
still only by the tower as far as crime scene goes. Everything was still right by the tower.
Oh, so the crime scene was the tower. I apologize. I was thinking of
Yes.
the crime scene. Okay. So he let them
yeah.
let them onto his property for a better view.
So now jump forward a few weeks, and we're now on September 20th of 2003. So same year, a little less than a month from when this whole thing happened. And still, no one really has any answers yet. Rothstein calls 911 and says, quote, "At 8645 Peach Street in the garage, there is a frozen body. It's in the freezer." That was his address. That was his own address that he gave. They get there. Of course, they find a body in a freezer in the garage. And
What?
they found when he was being interviewed and whatnot by the police, he was just like, they found that he was suicidal, that he had actually written suicide notes, which even started with, "This has nothing to do with the Wells case," which kind of tells me this has everything to do with the Wells case. But he discloses in things in his suicide note, and then of course he gave everything. He was in agony keeping this body and knowing the information that he knew. So he called
because he was going to terminate his own life.
He felt guilty, and it was either he turned himself in so that he can feel a little, feel better that this is all out in the open and you don't have that weight on you anymore.
Sure.
And it's either that, or I guess he felt his options were turn himself in as being part of this, or
death,
end your own life. And I guess he thought which honestly, between the two, I think the right thing to do was to, cough up and be
there
like,
were people
hey.
That, I mean, if you're to the point where you're going to terminate your own life and you have answers to questions that people, you know what I mean? Like you've forfeited your life at that point, so you would feel, I would imagine, I haven't walked that dark road, so I would imagine that it's pretty troublesome. So I would think that there's probably some things, unfinished business going through your head, and you're just trying to wrap everything up.
And that was something that he wanted to wrap up.
Yep. So what was the body? Who was the person in the freezer?
One thing that he did say when he was on the phone was he said, I did not kill him nor participate in his death. Or no, sorry, that was in his suicide note. He did not kill him, nor did he participate in the death. So the guy ended up being Jim Roden. Yeah, Jim Roden. Sorry, I want to make sure I had the name right. So what ended up happening, this is all the information that he divulged. Divulged.
Yeah,
thank you. Words are hard. So an ex-boyfriend of Rothstein's, her name was Marjorie Deal Armstrong.
An ex-boyfriend of Rothstein?
Girlfriend.
Okay, sorry.
Ex-girlfriend of Rothstein. Her name was Marjorie Deal Armstrong, and she called him and said that she shot her live-in boyfriend, Jim Roden, during a dispute over money, and that she needed help getting rid of the body and cleaning up. For whatever reason, he went over there and helped her clean up. He replaced stairs. He replaced flooring. He cleaned everything up, and he took the body, and they were supposed to together. Well, some say together, some say it was just supposed to be him, but dismantle the body and get rid of it.
Dismember it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He already did with the weapon. It was a shotgun. He already broke down the shotgun and scattered the remnants of him destroying it pretty much all over Erie. So there was really no one place that you could find something.
Right.
But it was supposedly a dispute over money. Now, some say that Jim Roden had something to do with the Wells case, and that they were arguing over that, and that was the money dispute. But, I mean, we don't know. That's not what she's saying.
So this body was not in there the entire time. This was just a recent development.
No, this body was in there before the Wells case happened.
Are you? Oh, my God. That's
he had this body in his garage. In his freezer, in his, the big box freezers.
Yeah,
so he had it in the deep freeze. Thank you. He had it in the deep freeze for like a month before. That was before the Wells case happened. And he was in agony that whole time. So that's what he says, or said. But he actually also had a huge lymphoma. That was going to take him. And I think that was part of the reason why he decided to not kill himself and instead turn himself in. Because he knew he was on borrowed time anyway. So he ended up dying in July of 2004. So he didn't even make it a year after the Wells case or after Jim Roden died. He didn't even make it a year.
He would have never even made it to trial.
No, he wouldn't have. That's right.
So he had absolutely nothing to lose.
Absolutely nothing to lose. And so he supposedly gave them everything he knew. He said he couldn't go through with the body disposal. And he called because he was afraid of what Deal Armstrong would do if she found out that he was unwilling to dispose of the body for her. He was scared of her.
I mean, she literally killed a guy and then said, hey, and then called her whatever new boyfriend, I guess, and was like, hey, I know you love me.
This is one of her exes that managed to survive.
Apparently.
She has a string of missing,
good
suspicious
grief.
deaths. There's like 4 or 5 guys before Jim Roden.
So hold on. Can we just time out for this? So this rabbit hole goes deep.
Oh, this rabbit hole goes very deep.
Oh my God. Like, y'all thought you were tuning in for the pizza bomber. Y'all are tuning in for Days of Our Lives, the serial killer edition.
Pretty much. Well, no, because technically that we know of, she's killed, if we count Wells, she has killed 3 people. So she had a boyfriend in the 80s that she shot 6 times in self-defense. That's what she claims.
Quote.
Self-defense.
Quote.
That's what she claims. And she got acquitted. She wasn't charged. They were like, okay, yeah, that was self-defense.
And then they would have never believed it happened a second time.
Probably not.
I
wouldn't.
Okay. All right, there we go. All right. So now that actually kind of makes more sense. So even if it wasn't self-defense, there is I'm a presumption of innocence here, okay? Because we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So my presumption of innocence is she panicked. I give her the benefit of the doubt. If I'm the FBI, I'm going to say, listen, you panicked. We get it. You know, nobody would have ever believed it happened a second time. You know, your choice of men's not been that great, apparently.
Clearly.
We understand.
Except for Rothstein, who seemed to stay loyal to her long after they dated in like the 70s.
Good grief.
This was a long time ex.
So
she had a husband that died under suspicious circumstances. She had a couple of people that just disappeared that she was dating. Like,
good grief. And so Rothstein was the literal one that got away.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He was pretty much the literal, maybe the only one that got away. At least that we know of. He's the only one that got away. But unfortunately, he got away with lymphoma.
I mean,
and that got him.
So what's their tie-in here?
So Deal Armstrong, ex-girlfriend of Rothstein, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, she ended up being arrested on the 21st. So the day after they found the body, they went ahead and arrested her for Jim Roden's death. Now, she pleaded guilty on that, but her attorney fought for, because she's mentally ill, that she wasn't fit for trial. And that it would impact her abilities to, it would impact the sentencing. So she ended up, because she pleaded guilty, she ended up being given a minimum of 7 years, 7 to 20 years. So 7 to 20 years, that's all she got. But she admitted it, at least. She didn't say it was self-defense. She did say it was in a dispute. So, I mean, I think she pretty much felt like she was had because they had so much information from Rothstein.
There are people serving 30 years in prison for not murder.
Right.
Which is supposed to be the worst thing that you can do to a person. I understand there's arguments. We're not going to get into all that right now.
Right.
That's supposed to be the capital offense is murder.
Yeah.
Like, that's the worst thing that you can do to a person. And... okay.
7 years.
Apparently a life is only worth 7 years to these people.
A minimum of 7 years.
A minimum
granted.
of 7 years.
I mean, she had to do with a maximum of 20.
Okay.
But I mean, at this point, she's, oh gosh, 50.
Okay.
I think. But in 2005,
well, she'd be older than that. She'd be in her 60s, 70s by now, probably. Because if she was dating Rothstein in the 70s, yeah. So she was
I
probably.
I want to say she was born in 58.
Okay, so she's almost 7 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So she's 60 and change.
But in 2005, she's still serving time for Rothstein, right? So she's been in there for, what are we at, like 3 years? Mm-hmm. 2 years. 2 years. She's been in there for 2 years, and she says, I'm going to tell you everything that you want to know if you arrange for me to be transferred to a facility that's closer to Erie. It was located in Cambridge Springs, which is like, I don't know, depending on what route you take, probably 45 minutes out of Erie. So for some reason, she wanted to be closer to Erie. Honestly, I don't know why. She didn't seem to have anybody left. But the people that she had left were all getting arrested, or they were already in jail for something else.
I worked in a prison for a while, and I will say that there are a lot of offenders who it's a preference, even if they don't have anybody visiting them, even if they don't. It's
really
they feel better being closer to home. It's a mindset thing. The closer you're at it, that's why a lot of people who get sentenced for severe crimes, they get transferred out of state. Because the backlash usually from civilians, like going to that prison to harass them and things like that, that can happen quite a bit. But that's usually your more heinous crimes. But a lot of times when it settles down, a lot of times when it all settles down and people forget about it, they want to get transferred back home. Even though that's the place where everyone hates them. Yeah, they would rather be there because it's home. I mean, it's bizarre, but that's psychology.
I guess I can see the psychology behind that. Yeah. So this Marjorie Deal Armstrong was well known for she was this beautiful, intelligent. She had like 4 degrees and a master's, and so she was smart. She was absolutely smart, but she was also absolutely crazy. There's no two ways about it. The mentally ill plea was valid. It just was. I mean, so if you were to watch the documentary or see any videos about her talking,
this is a super important distinction. You're mentally culpable, or you're mentally capable, or you're not mentally capable. They do not allow for you have a mental illness, and that's why you did a thing. You're either capable of discerning good from evil, or you're not. Yeah, that's basically it. If you're not capable of discernment, then they lock you in an institution. If you are, you stand trial like everybody else does. Well, now, it does affect sentencing, which is what you touched on earlier. Yeah. So that's probably why they went the route they did. But go ahead. Yes, she's batshit.
They did try to.
Sorry, language.
They did try to do the mentally ill. She's not fit for trial the next time she went to court. But she did eventually go to court. So I'm assuming they figured out that she was capable of right from wrong. But if you watch any videos of her talking, any videos of her being interviewed, anything like that, she will go from, honestly, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but if I had to guess, she's most definitely bipolar borderline personality. And she's an extreme version of those. She looks schizoaffective. She is not a mild. She is not a mild version of those. She doesn't look very good anymore. No, she's very. But if you see pictures of her from like the 70s, the 80s, like when she was younger, she was very pretty and apparently very smart. But yeah, she used all of that in my opinion, I think she manipulated Rothstein to be involved. And then Rothstein also being smart and good with like building things like bombs.
Rebuilding stairs to hide a murder.
Right.
Hey, this guy looks pretty good. I bet he could help me. Or you know what? Even to the point where she could manipulate him. That's a strong possibility too.
Well, I'm pretty sure she manipulated everybody.
If you don't help me build this contraption or device, I'm going to tell everybody that you killed him. And I'm going to tell them that you came over here and made me be quiet and hide the body. And it's in your freezer, so they're going to believe me.
Yeah.
That's just a scenario that popped in my brain.
It makes sense. I'd believe it if she did try that, but she didn't get away with that. So,
anyways,
when they went through her house, they didn't find any actual true connection to the Wells case.
Good.
What?
Chris, you can't do that, man. You pop up the graphic. Let people see it. Good God.
Well, while he's doing that, when they went through her house, they found out that she was a hoarder. And I'm talking level 5, which is the worst.
Good grief.
She was a level 5 hoarder. There were feces and spoiled, rotten food. And
oh, God.
There were times when they were in there and they didn't know if they were actually stepping on floor.
That's gross.
Because there was so much stuff in the house, and it was
there. She is right there. Look at on the far right there. Look at the difference between those. That is insane, and I don't mean that as a Look at that. Like
she looks like a sweet, innocent girl. Really pretty. She's got a little bit of crazy eye, but it's not screaming crazy eyes.
That screams crazy eyes. That one. That
one definitely screams crazy eyes.
All right. Anyways, okay.
But she claims she knows about the plot for the Wells case, and so she's thinking she's going to give all this information. Just transfer me. So they transferred her, and so of course they went in through a series of interviews with her, and before they finally got enough information to really what she was doing was she was implicating herself. She she hurt herself by her inability to shut up. Literally. She clearly was a narcissist. She wanted to talk about it. She wanted it to be known. But at the same time, she didn't want to do the time, so she didn't take credit for it. But she took credit in her own way by talking about it and knowing so much about it and having people give her attention in order to continue to get more information on it.
So she basically projected herself into the crime without directly admitting that she had done it.
She pretty much knew, according to what she told them, she knew pretty much literally everything about the Wells case, except for the fact that she was there, because she wasn't there. But she admitted to supplying 2 kitchen timers to Rothstein for the bomb.
So she's trying to pin this on Rothstein.
She's trying to pin it on just about anybody that she could pin it on.
Okay, so far, we've got Armstrong and Rothstein. Mm-hmm. We got Crazy Eyes and... Sorry. But we got Rothstein and Armstrong so far.
That is a picture of the 2 of them in the 70s, I believe. Right there, yeah.
That one?
Yes.
Is that Rothstein?
Yes, that is Rothstein.
Huh. He kind of looks like a couple that we know. Anyways.
I'm not seeing it. You'll have to tell
okay.
me later.
I'll tell you later. This is bizarre.
But so she starts delving out all these details, and what she ends up doing is implicating herself. She's saying, she didn't say that the argument with Roden that she killed him over had anything to do with it. But it is believed that she was arguing with him because she wanted money. And the reason why they wanted $250,000 was because she wanted money to pay a hitman to kill her father.
Good grief. So, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Nope. You know what? Just keep going.
She found Kenneth Barnes, and Kenneth Barnes claims that he was only hired, but he didn't think he was something that she was serious about. So he claimed that he wasn't going to actually go through with it, that he was just talking with her, and he thought she maybe was just joking about it. But they believe that he potentially was going to actually go through with it.
So Barnes would have been the hitman.
Barnes would have been the hitman, and Barnes was present when Wells was accosted. He admits to it. He admits to being there. Now we're at 3 people. I told you there were 4.
Now, I'm not a professional hitman. I'm not.
He's not.
I'm really not. Believe me, if I would be super unprofessional. I have a tendency to hold grudges. Not really. I don't do that, but if I were to place myself into a professional environment, I use that term loosely, and you're supposed to be a cold, calculating killer, a killer for hire.
Yeah, I would assume.
And you're going to willingly participate, even unwillingly. Like at that point in time, if I'm a professional, I'm shooting everybody in that room and I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm not having anything to do with this. I'm going back to where I was. I'm taking everything you own and I'm out.
Well,
sorry.
The $250,000 wasn't even just to pay Barnes. Part of that was to pay Barnes. They were all going to split it between them, supposedly including Wells. Now, Wells's family insists his innocence to this day, and that he was just a victim in all of this. And in a way, he was. When you kind of boil down all the information, you can kind of... He was involved, but he wasn't at the same time. So this is, like I told you, it's involved. So they confirmed that Kenneth Barnes was there. Now we have Rothstein that was there. And we have Marjorie that was there, Deal Armstrong that was there. And the reason why Barnes was caught was because his brother-in-law, he was already serving time. And his brother-in-law actually called and turned him in for information regarding the Wells case. So he was already serving time. So of course he was there and he was easy to get to. They could easily start asking him questions. And, Any second, sorry.
It's all right. Just, yeah, it's a lot of information to
It
digest.
is.
Don't worry. I don't know any of the information, and it's a lot. I can only imagine knowing the information and then trying to sort it is even worse.
Yeah, trying to make notes on this.
Wait, hold on. We got to go back to 1963.
Right? Well, no, she first got on the radar, and I mean the new media and everybody already knew who she was because they had already done her story in the 80s. I think it was 84, when she was tried for the death of her then boyfriend, claiming it was in self-defense. So in, let's see, 2010, looks like, yeah, August 2010, she was diagnosed with glandular cancer. They gave her a 3 to 7 year timestamp for remainder of life. She kept insisting that she was innocent, but at the same time, she kept incriminating herself every time somebody would talk to her. The documentarian that did he did a great documentary on Netflix. You guys really should watch it, especially after getting all this. It's called Evil Genius, but she ended up implicating herself not just to people that were interviewing her from the media, not just the police, but to her cellmates, who she apparently didn't think would turn her in, and they absolutely did. She knew they were taking notes when she would talk to them, and she'd still divulge all this information. So, of course, when she went to trial for the Wells case, they had 4 of her cellmates that went in there and were like, no, she said she did this. She absolutely said she did this. And I took notes on this day saying this. And they went up against her. And, they didn't fear her anymore. She was in jail. At least 2 of them were no longer in jail. So they had no reason to fear any retribution from her. So she's still, of course, absolutely crazy. I don't know what happened in her life to cause her to go down that absolute loony path, but she did. And whatever caused it, it was after she got her degrees and she had this beautiful, wonderful, bright future in front of her. And then it just kind of all went downhill. And no one really knows what caused that to happen. But she did end up dying in prison. From breast cancer. So the glandular cancer didn't even take her. It ended up being breast cancer that took her. And that was in 2017. Barnes died in prison. So now, so far, everybody involved is dead. Barnes died in prison in June of 2019. No one really says why. I couldn't really find anywhere that said why. Now, there's one other person that was involved named Stockton, and he seems to not really know much of what was supposed to happen in the background. He was present when they put the bomb on him, but what apparently happened was Wells was in debt to a drug dealer, Barnes, and he was in a relationship with a local area prostitute at the time. And she had a drug habit, and he would pay her for sex, and then she would go and take that money and buy drugs, literally in the same house. So it was like a one-stop shop. Everybody gets what they want. Drug dealer gets money, he gets sex, Wells gets sex, and she gets her drugs. So there's believed to be that he was in some kind of relationship with her as well. But no one's actually said, yes, I was definitely in a relationship with him. But she did give birth shortly after Wells died, and it is believed that Wells was the father of that child. Now, there was one other person involved, but he died of suspicious circumstances. They said it was an overdose. They didn't think anything was suspicious about it. But, I mean, it seems suspicious at this point because Panetti was a delivery driver for the pizzeria that Wells worked at. And then all of a sudden, he's dead from what appears to be an overdose. So no one really knows for sure if that was actually an overdose that happened or if there was something else going on there. But he died of an overdose, and this was within days of the bank robbery happening. Now, Barnes actually liked being in prison, as weird as that might sound. But he liked being in prison. It kept him clean. It kept him out of trouble. He had always had a roof over his head. He always had food. He was taken care of there in a way that he just wasn't taken care of outside in the outside world, with everybody else around, because he'd get on drugs. He'd be, he wouldn't be clean anymore. And whereas in prison, he was pretty much forced, you're in there and you don't really have a choice. You're definitely going to be clean. So really at this point, I believe Stockton is still alive, but everybody else, especially the people that had the major details of this crime, they're all gone. And we're only going to know what they were willing to divulge. And there's still suspicions and questions about what they were willing to, what they divulged, what was true, maybe what wasn't, where did they, throw in lies, where did they not? But it is believed that Wells was involved, that he was part of the planning stages, but Barnes said that he doesn't believe Wells thought that it was really going to happen. And on the day that it happened, he did not know it was going to happen. Only those four knew that it was going to happen. And so they did, in a way, accost him. It's just he kind of had a little bit of an idea that something was going to happen at some point, but he figured he would know. He figured, and then of course at first he thinks that the bomb on his chest is fake because that's what it was supposed to be. But he ends up he hears this beeping along with the police officers at the scene, and he starts to realize that it's not fake. And he fought them with getting that on because he was just like, no, I don't want to do this. And that supposedly he was saying, no, I don't want to do this anymore. He wanted to back out, but they were like, nope, you're doing it. And so they, at gunpoint, the gunpoint was accurate, but it ended up being four middle-aged white people instead of four black people that accosted him. And so at first he's kind of whatever, and that's why he's swinging the cane in the bank and sucking on a lollipop, and he seemed totally chill when he was in that bank. And until it's that bomb started to tick, and he was just like, okay, no, wait a minute, this is real, this is happening, oh my god, I'm about to die. And he was pretty chill while he was sitting there until it got closer to that beeping starting, and then he started to actually be more kind of panicky and trying, like I said, trying to back up away from it, but you can't back up away from something that's strapped to you. But there was no way. Like I said, the bomb squad didn't even get there till 3 minutes later. So there was no intent on Wells living, but Wells did not know that. Barnes apparently claims that the bomb was supposed to be fake as well. Stockton claims that the bomb was supposed to be fake. So it is believed that the only people that knew that bomb was real is Rothstein and Neil Armstrong, who clearly, when you look at their pasts and you look at everything that they're capable of, you can tell that the masterminds behind this were Rothstein and Neil Armstrong. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really think she was the mastermind behind it. She was clearly manipulative. She was clearly unstable. The only reason she even wanted her father killed was because he was apparently giving away her inheritance. So in giving away her inheritance, she was just like, well, wait a minute, if you keep giving that away, I'm not going to get it. So you need to die now so that I can have that money because you're just giving it away to everybody. Like, he bought a neighbor a car. He gave like a huge amount of money to the church. And so she was seeing the money that she was supposed to be getting, pretty much just given away to not her. He did at one point stop kind of helping her financially because she needed help. He is, to my understanding, he is still alive. At the time of the documentary, at least, he was still alive.
Pardon me.
So he went from okay, yeah, I'll participate in this, to, oh my God, this is real. I don't want to participate in this. Okay, well, the bomb's fake. So, okay, yeah, I can do it. Whatever. This is cool. I can be all no big deal about this. And then all of a sudden realizing, oh, wait, this bomb is real and I'm about to die. And so, of course, he panics and then he dies. So he was a willing participant and then he became the victim. So in a way, he was a willing participant, but he was also a victim because he wasn't supposed to die. Everything that happened was not what was in the plan.
So essentially what it boils down to is there was really only one mastermind. There was really only one.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll say the main mastermind. There was definitely only one of those.
And then there was a sucker.
Yeah. And then 3 more suckers. Potentially a 4th. So
good God.
We have at
least your
least
story, this whole story, the whole thing.
And it's a mess.
It's true.
It is.
This is what's mind-boggling to me, and I've been kind of sucked into the story. I haven't really said a lot because I'm just like, I'm trying to digest all of this. I pulled up some notes. I pulled up a website because I was like, I gotta follow this because this is killing me. I hope you guys out there did the same thing, but.
And then you went cross-eyed and were like, I can't keep up with it.
I really did because I was just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to let her tell the story because it's far more entertaining than trying to read it. And
well, there's just, like I said, there is so much information. I'm not even giving you everything. We don't have time for me to give you everything. So, I mean, I'm giving you just basic details, but definitely look into this because this is such an interesting case. And this case was important for me to do for the first show because it's my hometown. And very shortly after this happened, I moved back to that hometown.
What I miss, guys? Well,
what did I miss? Well, there's some guy that was driving pizza around, and all of a sudden, he was not driving pizza around anymore.
Now, I want to get to this is something that bugs me about the whole thing. Did Wells end up getting the job as a pizza delivery guy? Just for the heist?
No.
He was actually a legitimate pizza delivery guy.
He had missed one day in all of his years of working for the pizzeria. He missed one day, and it was because his cat died. That's it. Late, no being late, no calling in sick, except for that one time when his cat died, and he took a day off.
So he was diligent.
He was, yes. And some people say that he is more of a simple person and very easy to manipulate because of that. And because he was in love with this prostitute who was needing money for drugs and he was in debt for drugs for her, like, that's why he was originally going to go in on it. But then he goes and delivers the pizza like, oh, wait a minute, what? We're doing this today? No, wait, no. And tried to fight them. And supposedly I think it was Rothstein that cocked the gun and was just like, you're getting this on. And then they put it on him. And they gave him all the instructions and the cane gun and sent him on his way.
That's crazy. But see, I guess, and the other thing that bugs me too is strolling out of the bank with a sucker.
Yeah. But at that time, I'm pretty sure he thought that bomb was fake and that this wasn't going to happen, that he wasn't going to get caught, that everything's just going to be fine and dandy. I don't think he had an inkling in his mind yet that, oh crap, I'm going to be in trouble. Like, this is bad. I don't think he thought the bomb was real. I don't think he thought that there was any kind of timer on it. I think that he thought it was all fake.
Huh.
And Barnes thought it was all fake too. Barnes thought that the bomb was fake. At least that's what he says.
Right.
And that's also what Stockton says.
So that's the quote there.
Yeah.
Is that they're claiming, at this point it doesn't really.
They claimed.
Yeah, they claimed. That's insane, man. The depravity, the depths that human beings will go to for things like money is insane to me.
Yes, it really is.
I mean, I'm a capitalist. In the sense of I like having money and I like having things. But
you're not about to become a criminal to get it.
Right. Like, that is some Wall Street capitalism right there. Sorry. I couldn't help but I had to take a shot at it.
Of course you did.
But no, but to drive it back home, like it is the depths of depravity that people will stoop to in order to commit these crimes is at once it's like objectively looking at it, it's impressive the things that people can come up with.
Yeah.
And desperation is the mother of all innovation.
Well, and desperation usually gets you in trouble, though. Usually
Oh
gets you
no,
caught.
100, yeah.
So I don't know how much desperation was actually behind it. I think she wanted to definitely get the money from her dad, from the estate, but I don't think she was like, it needs to happen today and we need to get this done within a week. This took supposedly a lot of planning. Now, they claim that there was a meeting beforehand to kind of confirm all the details. People claim that Wells was there. There's even a random person that said that they saw Wells at Rothstein's house the day before this happened. But the prostitute that he was in a relationship with was like, no, he was with me until about 2:30, and then he left to go get ready for work because he had to work at 4.
So you know what? I'm gonna go out and say, I don't know. I feel like, why would the prostitute lie for him? She has no absolute.
Well, she potentially has a kid with him, so I mean, there could be love there.
Well, I mean, regardless, like even from a professional standpoint.
But he's gone now, and at the.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
like, there's no point in her lying.
There's no point in her lying.
None.
She's just like, no, he wasn't there, and she was just like, she doesn't know for sure. She thought she overheard some people talking, but she doesn't know who the people were about details that ended up being things that happened with the Wells case, and. That's it. That's all she knew.
So the potential that he was involved is still there, but he wasn't there that day.
But he was not the day before. Yeah, for that initial planning of, okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this tomorrow, and blah blah blah. He apparently, supposedly, did not know. According to her, there's no way that he would have known because like I said, he left her like 2:30 in the afternoon. He was supposed to work at 4. So of course, depending on where you're at in Erie, it could take you maybe 15, 20 minutes to get home.
Well, now we know why he was diligently working. Dude couldn't afford to miss any days.
Yeah. Because, he was paying her so that she could get drugs. Like I said, one-stop shop. Everything happening in one house.
That's...
Okay. Yeah. It's just so... I don't know. Maybe it's because there's so many people involved. And so it just seems even more just overwhelming of information. And then everybody's got their own story, of course.
Right.
So, Barnes was already arrested on drug charges. He was the dealer that was dealing to Rothstein's. We'll just call her his girlfriend. To his girlfriend prostitute.
Barnes was dealing to Armstrong.
Well, no, Barnes was dealing for
Wells's girlfriend.
Hoopsick, yeah.
Okay.
The girlfriend.
Okay, Wells's girlfriend.
Prostitute.
It's not like you said Rothstein's girlfriend. I don't know. There's so many names going on right now.
There's so many names.
There's so many names. There's so many moving parts to this story.
There are so many moving parts.
This is crazy. So, I'm assuming that we're going to put notes at the end of the show. Not like all of our notes, obviously, but I assume like some links.
I'd have to write a book. But yeah, I can put some links in. Okay. Wired did a really good article on it. And then, like I said a couple times already, the documentary on Netflix.
Called Evil Genius.
Called The Evil Genius, yeah.
All right, that's...
and it is all about the pizza bomber from Erie, Pennsylvania.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This story is
it's such
wild.
A mess. It's everywhere. And then in every turn, it's like you got new information. And so now we got to open up this to even more. And oh gosh.
Is there more? Are we talking more right now?
Well, we could talk about this for days. So,
that's fair.
Or at least several hours. But yeah, we're going to kind of close it up here, but it's such an interesting case, and it's not just because that's my hometown. It is just genuinely an interesting case, and I really think everyone should go looking further into it because it is. There's so much information. There's so many twists and turns. It's so wild. The whole thing is just so wild.
And this was part of the thing. I think you had talked about wanting to do this show, and when you brought this to Chris and I's attention. and you had talked about part of like the pizza bomber. It's now well known. It's more well known than it was.
Yeah.
But
it went international. The new Wells case went
what I'm
international.
saying is, but that's not like when I talk to, like, I have several friends that are into the macabre and they're into the serial killer thing. And I mean that like as in a general interest, not like a, oh my God, Richard Ramirez. Like, I mean, they're
not
just
in love
kind
with
of,
them.
right. But
that's a thing.
This is one that doesn't get mentioned. And I think it's because the only person that died was Wells.
Well, yeah, initially.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like Wells and Roden, or not Roden.
Roden died beforehand.
Roden died first, but
Yes.
but that didn't even get discovered till
He
later.
supposedly was going to be part of it, and then there was some argument over about something involving it. This is what's
Money.
believed.
I'm just going to assume it was. This woman has killed all the time for money, so I'm just going to assume
It sounds
had to
like
be
it,
about
yeah.
money. Yeah.
I mean, she wanted to kill her dad because of money.
Because of money.
She wanted to
rob the bank because
do
of money.
Money, yeah.
So I'm just assuming that it was a fight over money.
Probably. I mean, that's what she says. She says it was a fight over money.
I don't even disagree with her at this point. I don't even think she's lying about it. It's probably the one thing that she's not actually lying about.
Probably. But she absolutely, till the day she died, she insisted her innocence, that she was not involved, that there's no proof, that, oh my gosh, the number of times that she screamed to like the news outlets and stuff like that, like, I'm going to sue this and this person and that person because of slander. And it was something, some major somebody. I forget who it was now, but it was some nationwide personality, media personality,
okay.
yeah, that covered it, and she was like, I'm suing him for slander. And to my understanding, she didn't actually sue anybody.
No,
because I'm pretty sure she didn't have a case.
No, when you're a public figure, you, especially if you're in the news,
Yeah,
there are very few things that they can get in trouble for saying.
yeah.
You have to be able to draw a correlation between her case was so high profile that those people could have said any number of things and it would not have affected her ability to get, hold, or maintain a job. Or affect her life in any way whatsoever.
No, because she's going to be in jail.
Right.
And
it has to be malicious. There's I can't remember, but there's a phrase for it, but you have to be able to prove that
malicious
the defamation,
intent.
yeah, that the defamation was malicious intent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's such a difficult thing to do, especially when you're talking about somebody who is maybe the mastermind behind a bank robbery that led to the death of at least one person.
Yes.
Technically
two.
Possibly masterminding
And possibly a third.
Or possibly masterminding a bank robbery that led to the death of one person and already being responsible for the death of another person.
Two people.
And then potentially being responsible for the deaths of multiple people before that. So you don't really have a lot of leg to stand on when that's your history.
Your character's kind of already been muddied.
Yeah, your character's kind of out the window.
By yourself.
I mean, I keep saying it, but that's such a...
I mean, it's too bad. She had
well.
like this awesome, bright future ahead of her. And like I said, who knows what happened? Because no one seems to. Like people that were someone that was like her best friend for many, many years was just like, I have no idea what happened. You know, one day she just started hoarding things and she just started going down a crazy path. I mean, literally mentally ill, crazy path. And then just, you know, as an outside observer, you're just seeing this path and going, that is like the most complicated everything.
And that's just the psychological profile of Armstrong. That's not even going into the, like,
exactly.
How did Barnes get there? Like, what was he doing? Like, why was he doing the drugs?
And how did she have a hold on him, 20 to 30 years later? Barnes being the serial killer, not serial killer, the contract killer. Yeah, Rothstein. Yeah, and but that's another thing. She had a hold on him 20 plus years after they broke up.
Like
and Barnes got involved because he wanted money. It's the greed. It's the greed that's got all of them. Really.
I've seen pride kill more people than anything, but I have seen the craziest inventions come from greed.
Well, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Wells initially got involved, not for the greed, technically you could call it greed, but I think it was more for he wanted to make sure that the woman that in my opinion, based off of everything that I've read, he loved.
Sure.
And that he wanted to maybe get out of the life, that he wanted to, who knows, maybe he wanted to marry her.
Yeah, it probably
And
had him help her.
to my understanding, no test yet has been done on the child.
Well,
Since she's only a few years older than us, the woman is.
To put it out too, maybe part of the thing with Rothstein was maybe in the past he knew about her murder. Maybe he knew about it. Maybe she confided in him, and he said, I'll always protect you or whatever.
Yeah, maybe they kind of got in on it together at that point.
But then she threatened him if he didn't keep helping her. Like, hey, I just killed somebody. I need you to help me.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm tired of helping you. And she's like, well, listen, you either help me or I'm going to tell
or
people.
I can do this.
Yeah,
Like
kind of like I touched on. Yeah, blackmailed him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe she was like, I still love you. I don't want to do this. I want you just to be there to help me, and then just use that to manipulate him.
And it seems, I mean, you watch her interviews
Dudes will do some dumb stuff
or
for
hear
girls.
her interviews. Oh, they really are. Well, I mean, women will do some dumb stuff for men too. People do some really crazy stuff in the claims of love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always love, so we're calling it the claims of love. But yeah, she is very, you can tell she's intelligent. You can also tell she's crazy. But you can tell she's intelligent.
Go hand in hand.
You can tell that she's a narcissist. You can tell that she is a manipulator. But not everybody that is, I mean, I have friends that are bipolar. I know people with borderline personality. I know people with all kinds of random mental illness, tickets on them.
All over the spectrum.
Yeah, all over the spectrum. But none of them are murderers.
That you know of.
That's true. Oh, crap. Please, none of you be murderers.
There you go. That's how you end the show right there. It's like, and none of them are murderers that I know of.
I don't want to do a show on you. I love you, but I don't want to do a show on you.
We do want to do a show.
But this is the kind of stuff, though, that, we're going to be talking about. And I really look forward to bringing you guys and some really interesting, I mean, we'll bring in some major names, and some of the stuff that you probably already know a lot about, but we'll give you a different take on it, hopefully. And, some of the lesser known, but yet still big crimes that happen that you're missing out on because maybe they went viral for 3 days. And so maybe you missed it because you were taking a hiatus from Facebook that day or those 3 days. So you could have missed something, but we want to bring it to you. So that way you can, definitely geek out on some criminal activity with us.
Criminal fix? I love it.
Yep, get you your criminal fix right here on Geek Public Radio.
Heck yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for watching, for joining in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then also go to our website, and you can become a member on there, and you can watch shows live. You can get early access to things, all kinds of cool stuff that's members only. It is really cool stuff. And it's only, what is it, $5 a month?
Yep,
I think.
$5 a month.
It's only $5 a month. Help support us.
Easy peasy.
And we can keep bringing you some pretty awesome content. If you do have anything that you guys would like to see talked about on the show, by all means, leave it in the comments. Let us know. And I'll be more than happy to do all kinds of research and figure out what we need to know about it and share it.
Awesome. Heck yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for joining in. I had so much fun with this, and I look forward to bringing you more. So thanks for tuning in to Geek Public Radio. This is Jassel with your Criminal Fix.